Hi, this is Monick Halm of Real Estate Investor Goddesses, and I'm so excited to have with me a super guest, Maddy Shields, who is going to share with us about a really exciting product that I've discovered and that I think will be super helpful for you real estate investing goddesses out there who are trying to figure out I'd love to find a property, but how do I do it? And how can I tell if it's good, especially if it's not where I live and where I can go and feel it and touch it? And so I'm super excited to have her here to talk about this program. This Hearing a lot of noise in the background. You're in San Francisco, so Maddie is a San Francisco native, San Francisco State alum, and she's a sales manager at Roofstock, which is headquartered in Oakland. For the past 2 years, she's assisted in the creation and management of the sales development team there. She's also the author of the blog post Smart Ways to Save for an Investment Down Payment. So, for those of you who are like, I'd love to do it, but how do I actually find the money to do it? She wrote a blog post about that. And on the day to day, she's dedicated to connecting with and assisting real estate investors like you of all backgrounds and locations. And she has a passion for all things related to investment and personal financing, but particularly real estate. And in her spare time, she also writes and enjoys playing music. So welcome, Maddie.
Oh, thanks for having me. And yeah, our office is in downtown Oakland, right by BART. So yeah, there might be a little bit of traffic from moment to moment, but yeah, great to be here.
It's great to have you. So I know you're interested in real estate investing. How did you get started?
It's a really good question. It's definitely a function of my sales career, getting an early exposure to different types of investment products over the last about 5 years, and then an introduction into fix and flip through working at a hard money lender. But then honestly, the last 2 years working at a company like Roofstock and seeing how this asset performs in terms of cash flow, long-term appreciation, I was just really compelled by it. So, in my career, I'm dedicated, of course, to being in this facet of real estate specifically. And then for my personal finances, it's definitely been, switching gears, looking at long-term investment, which involves, getting that 20% down for that first rental property,
Yeah.
or, persuading friends and my brother to go in with me on the first one to speed up my timeline a little. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I've gotten into it.
Partnering with other people is such a smart way to get started, because yeah, it can take a while to get that 20% down or however much you need. So if you can partner with other people, you can get into the game a lot sooner, get your money working
Absolutely.
for you, and then use that to build. So really cool, really smart. So you
Yeah.
you work for Roofstock. Tell everyone who's watching and listening, what is Roofstock?
Absolutely. So Roofstock is the best marketplace for buying and selling investment properties. So you can make an offer on rentals right through the platform. You can list properties for sale. You can also get access to vetted property management companies, in all the markets we have listings in, which is over 40 markets across the US. We can connect you to partnered lenders, start to finish. It's really anything that you would need to transact on a rental property right through one platform.
And when you're talking about rental property, to be specific, you're talking about single family homes, right?
Predominantly single family homes. We have multi units as well. So it's residential if it's zoned residential 4 units and under.
Okay, very cool. Um, so who would you say Roofstock is for?
It's definitely for anyone who's interested in long-term cash flow, owning a property that appreciates, and we're really trying to democratize real estate. So if you have, the ability to obtain financing or fund cash, or you have a self-directed IRA you want to use, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to acquire through our site. But 60% of our buyers are actually over 1,000 miles away from the properties they're buying. So if you're in California, New York, and you're trying to access maybe Dallas, Detroit, Memphis, Atlanta, we would definitely be a platform for you.
Very cool. So all right, I live in Los Angeles, which is a super expensive market.
Right.
And I've had to invest outside of the state. Well, I'm in, 5 other states
Right.
outside of California. I learned maybe a little too late that you can live where you want to live, invest where the numbers make sense. And in certain cities, like the ones you mentioned, it doesn't always make sense. So, but finding those properties when you're, when you're in San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, is a challenge. So that's one of the things I liked about Roofstock, this online marketplace that helps people be able to do that. But
Yeah.
what are I think that's one major benefit. What are the other benefits you think of using Roofstock versus going a traditional route?
Yeah, I mean, touch on traditional route a little bit. So that would probably be you could fly out yourself, find an agent, probably inspect some vacant properties, maybe take a hands-on approach. So it tends to be a little time intensive, and then you need to find a property manager, if you don't live there. And until that home has a tenant in the property, you're in a sense losing money until it becomes occupied to cover taxes, insurance, mortgage payments. So with Roofstock, you could look at a listing, not necessarily travel there first. You could buy a property with a tenant in place already. We have hundreds of listings that have cash flow day one. So from the moment you close, immediately that tenant is covering your mortgage and any other expenses that apply. And you can see in advance, the property is already underwritten as a rental, what would be my cash flow after expenses on this home. So it's immediate cash flow is a huge benefit. Having a lot of this legwork done for you up front. And another big part, people don't think about picking a property manager. Do I want to go out and meet that property manager firsthand, or do I want to know that Roofstock already flew out and met all these property managers before we integrate them to the website itself?
It's really cool that you've vetted these guys,
We
so,
have.
and ladies, because having experienced myself um, I'm going to say the challenges, the nightmare that can be when you have a bad property manager. It's
Yeah.
really nice to have something where you can feel a bit more secure about who's there and what your options are. Now tell me, so you've described the differences between going, yourself and going to the market, finding the agent, finding the team, doing all of that, getting yourself your own boots on the ground. What would you say is the difference between doing Roofstock and going with a traditional, like a turnkey provider, turnkey single family
Yeah.
home provider? Yeah.
No, that's a really good question. And people often ask, what makes you different from turnkey? So turnkey is generally isolated to one market. So it could be a great option, but you do have to put a lot of trust in one company to handle all these, honestly, very different services themselves. So they'll generally be in one specific city, maybe, a town in Ohio or in Tennessee. And yeah, they'll buy properties, rehab them for you, do a lot of the legwork. You might pay some kind of premium for that service, which is up to you if it's worth it or not. This is more on Roofstock, a streamlined approach to actually transact on investment properties. So we've created a portal for sellers and buyers to go on, rather than trusting one company as okay, they're sort of acting like my agent. They're also the rehabber. They're also the property management company. It could be an option, generally stuck to one specific area and trusting one individual to, again, do all these services for you at once. Sometimes they lack transparency. It really depends on the company you're using. We're in over 40 markets, very accessible. So that would probably be the main difference between us as a curated marketplace versus like a single turnkey provider.
Yeah, 40 markets, that's a lot. And I also know that with turnkey providers, some are amazing, but some are not as good too. So
It depends.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We've
Uh,
definitely had people who, they love their one turnkey company in this market, but how do I break into Atlanta or Dallas or something like that?
yeah, cool. So I always like to ask about mistakes people make on the show because we learn so much more from the mistakes that we do from things that go well, and
Of
also
course.
hearing other people's mistakes might make us less likely to do the same thing. So, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see potential investors make when purchasing rentals?
That's, yeah, definitely a great question. We touched a little bit on property management earlier. So, the cheapest property manager is probably not always the best option, but you often see people gravitate towards that. So, I'd say on our site, weigh the different companies. We have more than one property manager for you to choose from. We've vetted their pricing structure. We think these are quality companies in that market. Granted, you could choose your own and go research and say, hey, I found a better deal here, but just take it into consideration. You generally get what you pay for. The other main thing is a lot of good investors choose, a more quality property in a quality neighborhood. But we do see a lot of people come in and look at high returns or cap rates or high cash flow homes that may not necessarily be in the highest quality market, which is fine if that's your goal. But you probably want to have the right reserves, a quality property manager. These types of homes tend to come with maybe more maintenance, higher risk for vacancy, late payments, perhaps even an eviction down the road. So you'd want to make sure you're backing that up with a solid property manager, not just cutting costs all around.
Yeah. I learned the hard way this lesson that working with the best won't cost you money; it'll make you money,
Nice.
and sometimes trying to save a few bucks ends up costing you a lot more in the
Lot.
long run.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's definitely a huge benefit in having people that are vetted.
Vetted,
That they,
respond, yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, So, what do the most successful investors on Roofstock do?
Absolutely. So, I mean, first off, identifying what your main goal is here, and then picking a property that fits that goal. If it's long-term cash flow and appreciation, pick a property that's in line with that. So the best investors have a plan, they stick to it. They'll usually buy a quality property in a quality neighborhood, use a vetted property management company to handle that, and then long-term see higher returns. Sometimes that comes with maybe a little lower on the cash flow initially, but you'll have long-term appreciation and equity in the home.
Okay. So, yeah, I love that, and that's definitely something I teach, right? Because real
Nice.
estate investing is not one size fits all. You have to get clear on what your goals are, and then go after investments that help you meet those goals. So, when you're looking at Roofstock, one of the things I really liked about it is that you get to see the quality. Not only you're getting all this information about the home, but you're also
Right.
getting information about the neighborhood, and it
Yeah.
really helps you to see what class of neighborhood it is and what that's like. So, can you tell us a little bit more about that aspect of it?
I'm happy to give you, a little more explanation. I'm not on our data science team. I'm just going to be, very upfront about that.
No worries.
But yeah, you can review it on our site. So it's a 1 to 5 star rating. So this is taking, socioeconomic data into consideration, like number of bachelor degrees in a market, employment rates, people owning their primary residences. So it's a great way to compare neighborhood to neighborhood. So 1 to 5 stars, ones and twos generally being, kind of higher returns, higher risk, normal risk versus reward. Higher stars generally being, maybe a little lower returns, but high appreciation, more stable. And then ones in the middle being more of a blend of both.
Okay. And when you're talking about returns, so what's the range of returns that people are that you guys are seeing or offering on Roofstock?
Yeah, so you can open up the filters on our site and filter by returns. Obviously, when you're talking about rentals, that can mean a few different things. So I believe you can drop, I think, maybe as low as 1, 2, or 3% cap rate, all the way up to, I believe, 12%, and then save that, see what listings show up. We're listing new properties and selling them daily. So what you could do is save that filter, get a notification if that new property comes on the site. It's got the returns you want, it's in the market you want, it's got the neighborhood score you want, and then it's, time to make an offer.
Cool. And so so just to be totally honest with you guys who are tuning in, I give our guests questions beforehand so they can be prepared and give us their best answer.
Of course.
But I have been throwing in some extra ones on that here.
It's okay.
As we follow up, and as I'm thinking about it, it's like, oh, this is interesting. I was just about to ask you a question, and it's gone right out of my mind. But because I with the you can see the returns, and okay, I remember my question. My question was about making offers, and so how do you make offers? Are you negotiating with the seller? How does that work with Roofstock?
Sure. So you can make an offer right through the site. What I really like, though, is you can just come in at the asking price with the seller. If you got that notification, this property hits all the other areas that you want in terms of return, location, whatever's important to you, and you don't want to miss out on it, you can just come in at the asking price. If the seller wants $100,000, you can offer $100,000 and get a contract digitally on it. You can also make an offer. Granted, anyone on the site, we have 50,000 active users, can be making offers on the same property. Seller can accept, counter, decline that offer. Once you arrive, at an actual price, you'll get the contract. You can sign it via DocuSign. It's pretty streamlined. But yeah, you can make an offer right through the site.
That's really cool. So I see this property, 100,000. I'm willing to pay 100,000. It's mine, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to go over asking.
No, only people in California ask me that.
Yes, because I know what the market's like. So I think that's awesome. So that's really cool. So the price you see is the max you're going to pay, but it's possible that if you go, okay, well, it's 100,000, let me offer 90 and see what happens. Then that's a possibility.
Yeah. There might be a small just disclosure. We have open house properties on our site. That's something a little different. I'd rather not get into. If someone's got questions, we can review the exact difference. But there is a small window where you could offer over to the seller and they could choose to accept. But that's only right when a listing comes to the site.
Okay.
But yeah, that might be, someone is more than welcome to book a call with us. We could walk through anything you'd want to need to know before you make an offer.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure most people aren't clamoring to pay over asking, but
probably
if they really want that house, I guess they could.
Vast majority of homes on Roofstock, you can just buy now at the asking price. Yeah.
Okay, that's very cool. So, what advice would you have for a woman who wants to get started with Roofstock?
It's a great question. So, first off, just be confident. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of users on our site. Everyone has access to the same information. So there's really no reason why you can't get this property if you've never owned one before versus someone who owns 50 rentals. You can make an offer right through the site. If you're not too sure where to start, you can connect with my team. We can learn more about your goals, talk about how much funds it would take to get started. We're not going to push you on a property. We want to make sure you have a great experience on that first home. And then after that, generally investors come back more confidently. They already went through the process and they can make offers really independently. For that first purchase, though, we can talk it out on the phone, do a screen share, make sure you move forward on the right one. But yeah, generally just think even playing fields, have total confidence, you can get any home on our site.
Okay, cool. So what is the minimum amount that somebody could invest for a home on the site?
There's not a minimum. What we generally recommend is 20,000. That's not a hard number. If you're thinking really simple terms, that same $100,000 property example, you probably know conventional financing starts at 20% down. I've heard you do some great podcasts already about picking the right lender. So 20% down, $20,000 liquid. If the home's under 100K, you could come in with less, but maybe think about having someone reserves for a cheaper property. But no, we don't have a minimum amount to invest. It's a function of down payment and the purchase price.
And then what about getting the financing? So you need to get, you need a mortgage. Does your site help you with that too?
Yeah, so we're partnered with several great companies. You can find them right through Roofstock. So whether it's property management, financing, you're looking at a property, you can pick the third party you would want to use that. Just this morning, I had a few questions about financing from someone who came to our site, connected them really quickly to one of our partnered lenders. He's already started the pre-qualification. The ones that are on our site, they're conventional. So, like anyone else looking for like a 640 FICO, probably, decent debt to income ratio. We don't restrict you. You can use alternative lenders if you'd like. Most people I talk to want conventional.
Yeah, if they can get it. So, all right, very cool. And so I think you might have just touched on that. Like, what would a potential investor need to have in place? So probably about 20,000.
Roughly, not a hard number. It's roughly, yeah.
And what else?
Probably keep a goal in mind. I mean, you should identify what's my objective here. Do I want to supplement income? Is this for retirement? Whatever that goal may be, then think about what type of property meets that. What kind of budget do I need to get that home? Am I ready to do this now? If it makes more sense to wait a little bit to have the right reserves, that's fine. You can tell me and we can follow up, a little down the road when you're ready. But yeah, I would say 20,000, ability to qualify for financing or close in cash. We have some properties on our site, a little lower cost that are cash only, which could be an option for some investors as well.
Oh, you have some cash only properties as well?
We do, yeah.
All right, interesting. And this is okay. And then what are you proudest about when it comes to Roofstock or working there?
There's a lot. Probably first off, we surpassed $1 billion in collective transaction volume within the first 2 years. That makes us, one of the fastest growing fintech companies. For me personally, I haven't been somewhere that has this many females in leadership positions. I'm one of them, and being in sales it's highly unusual. So, if there's any other female sales managers out there listening, great job. I'm really proud to be doing this here. But yeah, that's across the org, and it definitely shows in our culture. So I'm proud of that. Quite a few things. Working on a product that I would gladly recommend to friends and family. I've gotten to sell everything from traditional banking products like money market accounts, CDs. I worked in Forex, hard money. And this is one that I would definitely turn around and sell to my parents. Actually, kind of trying to a little bit right now. So that means a lot to me. And working with people who've actually transacted on the site themselves. That I'm proud of. Means a lot to me working in sales.
Very cool. And what is the best way well, we're going to have a link. So I found out about Roofstock when I actually went to a conference in September called FinCon, it's where money and media meet. It's for podcasters and bloggers and YouTubers and
awesome.
People like me who talk about finance and investing and money. And I found out about Roofstock there, and I love what you guys are doing, and I think it's super valuable for real estate investor goddesses who are in a market and finding and want some ease and some transparency and finding properties that they can invest in, residential properties. Because
Yeah.
I know it's finding a property that you feel good about finding. Oh, and you guys have like a guarantee or something with the property. So like,
Every property on our site has a 30-day money back guarantee. Yeah.
yeah, that's great because often otherwise in the rest of real estate investing that doesn't happen. When you close, it's always buyer beware. Um, and so that's a really I really um, fell in love with what you guys are doing. So we've partnered with you guys at at Real Estate Investor Goddesses. We partnered with Roofstock. And so we'll have a link underneath this video. And if you're listening, the podcast in the description where you can go and click to find out about to go on the site and to see what's there and find out more about it and just you know and as you do, let me know what your thoughts are. So, um, as you're exploring, I really love the property and I mean the product and the site. But I want to hear from you goddesses that go on there and let me know what your experiences are and share. Um, okay, so that's that's it. But before we go, we're gonna do our famed end of show Trinity, which is a brag, a gratitude, and a desire. So, Maddie, what is your brag?
Um, Brag, gratitude, and desire. Any brag? Anything really?
Anything. It doesn't have to be real estate. It can just be, yeah, any brag.
Any brag? I am the first female sales manager I have ever worked with. So that's a little brag, I think, for
Well,
me.
brag. Yeah. Well, brag. Great brag. And what are you grateful for?
Honestly, right now I'm definitely as corny as it sounds. I'm grateful for my company. I mean, they really set me up with every single way to succeed that I possibly could. So I am really grateful for the opportunity to be here. Very appreciative of that.
And what do you desire?
What do I desire? I would like to take title on my first investment property probably within the next 2 years. So that's quite the desire. I'm a little on the younger side, I'm not going to lie, but I have a really clear savings plan that a lot of people I know have taken to heart and adopted. So getting closer, but that's definitely what I desire.
All right. So shall it be, or so much better than you can imagine.
I
Uh,
know.
and I just want to add, because we have got investing goddesses here. That Matt, you are an investor goddess. You have some money in a fund, right? You're doing some fund investing, and so
Yeah.
you have some money invested in real estate.
Oh,
Just
I
not
do. Yeah.
you just don't have title in your name
I know.
yet.
I don't have cash flow exactly, but yeah, I have two different crowdfunding accounts, which all that is very great. But in a time of more attention being drawn to these sort of high risk crowdfunding accounts,
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for being with us and giving us
of
all this
course.
great information. And I look forward to finding out more. And you need to join our group. So as
Yeah,
you get
sure.
more inspired, more inspiration for anybody out there who wants to join us. We have you can find a link to our community at realestateinvestorgoddesses.com. Actually, I have an easier link, reigoddesses.com, and there you can get you can find out about our investor club and our our private community on Facebook where we have women now from 10 different countries.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
super excited. Yeah, so join us there and join
I
the
will.
conversation. And for those of you listening, tuning in, find us next week for another Real Estate Investor Goddess interview. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.